So today we'll be looking at a critique of Roman imperialism from the perspective of Publius Cornelius Tacitus. So I have this image of a mountain here that I'm hoping will visualize your journey in this short presentation from the base camp to the summit and give you a new perspective on Roman imperialism. And we're going to start at the base camp with the Romans. So who was this Tacitus that I just mentioned? Well, first of all, he's a Roman senator. Being a senator, he's one of the wealthiest, most influential people of his day, and very privileged at that. He's also an historian, one of Rome's most famous historians, in fact, and he gives us a wonderful perspective on this time period in Roman history. So he's the author we'll be looking at, and who will he be talking about? Who's going to be the other main person involved here? His name is Agricola. So Gnaeus Julius Agricola was the father-in-law of Tacitus, and he's highlighted there in the artwork above. So Tacitus married the daughter of this man, and Tacitus really admired this guy. This guy was a noble, upstanding Roman. He also happened to be a governor. Now, Rome was broken up into many different provinces. The empire was broken up into many different provinces. And this guy was the governor of Britain, or Britannia, as the Romans would have said it. So, as governor, he's governor in the 1st century AD. Tacitus and Agricola both live in the 1st century AD. He did a great job reforming the province. So, he fixed education, he fixed the infrastructure, he made it so that bribery was more legal, and he cracked down on these bad practices that the Romans sometimes used. Tacitus really admired this. So we have our main actors in this, and let's go and jump into the trek up the mountain, Britannia. This is our setting. So this is the province that Agricola governs, and it kind of became a province not that long ago. Emperor Claudius launched an invasion back in 43 AD, and he took over this province, and over the next 40 or so years, with different governors, it got more and more solidified as a province. So at this point, Agricola is up in the far north. If you look at the map, you can see Caledonia is modern-day Scotland. That's sort of where Agricola is fighting. The year is 82 or 83 AD. The year of this battle is uncertain, but the place is called Mons Graupius. And this is where the last straggling bands of Britons fighting for an independent Britannia, their own independence, are up against the Roman forces led by Agricola. Calgacus is the name of their chief. This is according to Tacitus. So Tacitus says that this guy named Calgacus was giving a speech to his troops before the battle, and he might be entirely fictional, but what we do is we get this speech, and it's really a nice view into Tacitus's understanding of what these conquered peoples were experiencing from the Romans. So this brings us to the summit, the final bit. We're going to look at Tacitus's Latin that he wrote. And this is actually from a biography that he wrote about his father-in-law, Agricola. This is an excerpt from section 30 of it. So I'm going to take you through what he says. This is Calgacus' speech to the Britons before the battle. Plunderers of the world, when the lands have abandoned everything to those ravagers, the Romans, they probe the sea. If the enemy is rich, they are greedy. If the enemy is poor, they are ambitious. Those Romans whom neither the rising sun nor the setting sun will ever satisfy. So far pretty stark, that the Romans will never be satisfied no matter how much land they ever take over. They don't care if you're rich or poor. They alone desire the wealth and the poverty of all peoples with equal passion. So again, a pretty damning statement here, and we expect to hear this damning kind of talk from a enemy of Rome. But let's keep in mind that the speech was most likely completely fabricated by Tacitus. So this is Tacitus's understanding of how Rome's enemies, Rome's conquered nations feel. The most famous quote, one of Tacitus's most famous quotes, occurs right after this in section 30. So here he says, he starts with three infinitives, very stark here: to steal, to slaughter, to rape. They call it an empire by a false name. And when they make a desert, they call it peace. Once again, pretty in your face about saying this is how the Britons, this is how the Syrians, this is how the Spanish, the Gauls, the Germans, any conquered people feels about the Roman occupation. Is that, oh yeah, the Romans call it peace, but for them, it's those three horrible infinitives. So a quick conclusion from all of this is just the Romans could and did critique the means by which their empire was created and sustained. Tacitus can look back at this and say, this is not the proper way a Roman should behave. So in combination, if you take Calgacus' speech of critique with the good behavior of Agricola, he's saying this is the way we shouldn't act, this is the way we should act. And it's showing that not all Romans were rah-rah, whatever the empire does is good. Tacitus, great historian. I hope you read him more, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.